She leaned back in her chair, smiled at her friends, and said, "Go ahead, leave. You'll be back asking for another chance in 30 days. I didn't argue. I just looked at her and said, "Set a reminder." My name is Ryan. I'm 36, and until last spring I lived in Orlando, Florida. My girlfriend Elise was 33. We'd been together a little over 3 years, living together for the last two in a mid-rise apartment near the edge of downtown. Nothing fancy, but clean, close to work, and close enough to her favorite places that she could meet friends on short notice. People who saw us from the outside probably thought we were stable. We hosted game nights. We did brunch. We took pictures at theme parks when her friends visited from out of town. Elise had a way of smiling in photos like everything in her life was under control. And when it was just the two of us, she could be sweet. She'd bring me coffee without being asked. She'd rub her feet against my calf on the couch. She'd talk about our future in a soft voice, like it was a cozy room she wanted to live in. But over time, she started treating me like I was part of her image instead of her partner. And whenever she was around her friends, she changed. She got louder, sharper. She told stories like she was on stage, and I was the easiest prop. The reason I tolerated it as long as I did wasn't because I didn't notice. It was because the disrespect came in small pieces. A comment here, a laugh there, the kind of thing that would sound harmless if you repeated it out of context, the kind of thing that makes you feel foolish for even being hurt. Also, I'm not the type to blow up. I work in operations and logistics. I live by lists, calendars, and paper trails. My whole job is taking messy situations and making them clean. In relationships, I used to believe that staying calm was the same as being strong. The first red flag happened at a birthday dinner for one of her friends, Cassandra. There were 8 of us at a loud Italian place, and the conversation turned to jobs. Cassandra asked Elise how she and I met. Elise launched into the story like she always did, but she added a little extra this time, like she was seasoning it for laughs. "I was going through a rough patch," she said, waving her hand, "and Ryan was just there, like a beige couch, not exciting but dependable." People laughed. I smiled because that's what you do when you don't want to be the sensitive guy at the table. Cassandra grinned at me. "Hey, beige couches are comfortable." Elise leaned over and patted my shoulder. "Exactly, he's comfort, not a spark." I told myself it was just a joke, but the drive home felt longer than usual. Elise was humming along to the radio like nothing happened, and I sat there with both hands on the steering wheel thinking, I don't want to be anyone's joke. The second red flag happened at home, in a quieter way that made it harder to explain. I got a small recognition at work, a company-wide email. One of my process improvements cut shipping errors by a noticeable percentage. It wasn't a trophy moment, but I was proud. I mentioned it while we were making dinner. "Elise, they highlighted my project in the update," I said. "They're using it as a template for 2 other sites." She didn't look up from her phone. "That's nice." I waited, hoping she'd ask a question. She didn't. "So," I said, trying again, "it might turn into a promotion track." She finally looked up and gave me a quick smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Just don't get a big head. You're already hard enough to motivate." That word, motivate, landed wrong, like I was a sluggish machine she had to kick into gear. I told myself she meant it playfully, but later that night, when I was brushing my teeth, I caught my own reflection and realized my smile had become something I put on out of habit. The third red flag was public again, and it had a bite to it. Elise worked in marketing for a medical group. Her friends were mostly people who lived for appearances. They dressed like they were always on the way to an event. They spoke in confident voices even when they were wrong, and they had a habit of ranking everything. One weekend, we went to a rooftop bar with her friend group. They were talking about travel and dream cities. One of them asked me what I wanted next in life. Before I could answer, Elise cut in. "He wants a quiet life," she said, laughing. "He wants spreadsheets and early bedtimes. He acts like he's 60. I'm 36, I go hiking. I play basketball with coworkers. I wake up early because I like mornings. But in that moment, I didn't defend myself, because defending yourself in a room full of people like that just makes you look like you're auditioning for respect. I said calmly, "I like routine. It keeps me grounded." Elise raised her eyebrows like I proved her point. "See, grounded." Everyone laughed again. It wasn't cruel laughter, not exactly. It was the kind of laughter people give when they want to stay on the good side of the loudest person at the table. On the way home, I said, "Hey, can you not talk about me like that in front of your friends?" Elise sighed like I was exhausting. "Ryan, I'm allowed to joke. You're too sensitive. It's not that deep." That phrase, "it's not that deep," became her shield. It meant, "your feelings are inconvenient." It meant, "stop asking me to look at what I'm doing." I didn't know then that I was slowly training myself to accept less. The dream job offer came the way good opportunities often do, quietly, when you're not performing for anyone. A former coworker had moved to Denver and joined a company that ran warehouse software for large distributors. He called me one afternoon and said, "We're building an operations program team. I told them about you. Would you talk to our director?" Denver was not on my radar. Elise loved Florida. Her friends loved Florida. I'd never even been to Colorado. But I took the call. The role was operations program manager. Same world I already lived in, but bigger scope, better leadership, and real respect for the boring stuff that keeps companies alive. The salary range made my eyebrows lift. The recruiter didn't dance around it. They wanted to pay for experience, not potential. After 3 rounds of interviews, they sent the offer letter. Old salary in Orlando, $64,000. New salary in Denver, $138,000, plus relocation assistance and a signing bonus. I didn't yell, I didn't run around the apartment. I sat at the kitchen table and read every line like it was a contract, because it was. I checked the benefits, the start date, the relocation terms, the clause about repayment if you quit early. I highlighted a few things. I made a list of questions. When Elise got home, I waited until she put her bag down and took off her shoes. I wanted to be calm and clear. "I got an offer," I said. "Denver." She blinked. "Denver, like Colorado." "Yes," I said, sliding the letter across the table. "It's a big role, a big jump." She scanned the page and paused at the salary. I saw it happen, a flicker of interest, then a hardening. "So you're just going to leave," she said. "I'm telling you the situation," I said. "We can talk about what it means for us." Elise leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. "What it means is you're chasing something, again, and you're expecting me to follow you." "I'm not expecting anything," I said. "I'm asking if you'd consider it, or if we'd need to figure out next steps." Her mouth tightened. "My job is here, my friends are here, my life is here. And my career is here," I said, tapping the letter. "This is a real step." Elise laughed once, short and sharp. In Denver, you'll freeze, you'll get lonely, you'll miss your routine and come right back." The words weren't new, they were just said out loud now, like she was confident enough to stop pretending. I kept my voice even. "If you don't want to go, you can say that, but don't predict my failure like it's a joke." Elise shrugged. "I'm just being realistic." The next week was tense. She didn't say no directly. She just acted like the offer was a temporary glitch that would go away if she ignored it. She'd change the subject when I brought it up. She'd invite friends over suddenly. She'd make comments like, "Must be nice to have a job that lets you daydream all day." I started sleeping poorly, not because I didn't know what I wanted, but because I realized something else. If I took the job, I might lose her, and if I didn't take it, I might lose myself. Then came the dinner, the one that ended everything. Elise suggested it. That should have been my warning. "We're going to dinner with Paige and Trevor on Friday," she said. "They want to see you." Paige was one of her closest friends, the one who laughed the loudest at Elise's jokes. Trevor was Paige's husband, quiet, polite, the kind of guy who looked tired in social settings. I'd always felt a little sorry for him because I recognized the look. We went to a trendy place downtown, the kind with small plates and dim lighting. Paige and Trevor were already there. Another couple joined, 2 friends of Paige's. Everyone ordered cocktails. I ordered sparkling water. Elise made a face like I'd insulted the table. The conversation started normal. Food, traffic, holiday plans. Then Paige asked, "So, are you really moving?" Elise answered before I could. "He's thinking about it," she said, swirling her drink. "He gets these phases. He'll calm down." I felt my spine straighten. I didn't want to fight. I wanted to be real. "It's not a phase," I said. "I got the offer. I'm deciding this week." Paige laughed, bold. "Elise, are you going to be a Colorado girl?" Elise smirked. "No, I'm not uprooting my life for Ryan's little midlife adventure." Trevor glanced at me, then away, like he didn't want to be involved. The other couple chuckled politely, unsure if they were supposed to laugh. I said calmly, "It's not an adventure, it's a career move." Elise leaned toward Paige like they were sharing a secret. He thinks he's going to be some big shot. He'll last a month. Then he'll come crawling back once he realizes he's not built for it. The table got quiet for a beat. You could hear silverware and a server setting down glasses nearby. I looked at Elise and said, soft but clear, "Can we not do this here?" Elise's eyes flashed. "Do what?" "Talk about me like I'm not sitting right here," I said. Paige's smile faded. Trevor shifted in his chair. Elise let out a laugh that sounded like she was on stage. She turned slightly so the other couple could hear too, and she said the cruel line, loud and confident. "Go ahead, leave," she said. "You'll be back asking for another chance in 30 days. It was the way she said it, like it was entertainment, like my life was a bet, like the worst thing she could imagine wasn't losing me, but watching me succeed without her. My chest went calm in an instant, not numb, not shut down, just clear. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't insult her, I didn't accuse her of anything. I just looked at her and set a reminder. Then I stood up. I took my wallet out, placed my card on the table and said, "Dinner S on me, you all have a good night." Elise stared like she couldn't believe I was breaking script. "Ryan," she said, warning in her tone. I nodded once, as if acknowledging a coworker in the hallway, and walked out. Outside, the air felt different, cooler, cleaner. I sat in my car for a full minute with my hands resting on the steering wheel, breathing slowly. My heartbeat was steady, but my brain was loud. I drove to a hotel near the airport, not because I was running, because I didn't want an argument in our apartment. I didn't want the emotional tornado. I wanted quiet. In the hotel room, I opened my laptop, pulled up the offer letter again, and read it like a man reading a map out of a place he no longer wanted to be. Then I accepted the job. I didn't feel like I was winning. I felt like I was choosing oxygen. Elise called me 12 times that night. I didn't answer. Her texts started angry, then confused, then flipped into blame. "Where are you? You embarrassed me. Stop being dramatic. This is over a joke. Answer me, Ryan." The last one made me pause because it was the closest she'd come to treating me like a person all night, but I didn't respond. I had learned something important. When someone only respects you when you're leaving, they never respected you. They respected your availability. The next morning, I went back to the apartment while she was at work. My name was on the lease. I wasn't sneaking. I was exiting cleanly. I did it like a checklist. Documents first: passport, birth certificate, social security card, work contracts, work gear, laptop, dock, badge, notebooks, personal items, clothes, toiletries, my dad's old watch, a couple framed photos, the small things that mattered. I didn't take shared furniture. I didn't take the TV. I didn't take kitchen stuff we'd bought together. I wasn't trying to punish her. I didn't want any "you stole from me" story later. Before I left, I opened the resident portal on the shared iPad we kept on the kitchen counter. We used it for the building app, streaming, and paying rent. The rent ledger was right there, in plain view, showing every payment and the security deposit. I took clear photos of the ledger and the deposit line, not for revenge, for protection. Then I printed a written notice to the property manager, the lease required notice. I gave it. I also sent an email from my own account, stating that I was vacating and asking what documentation they needed for a clean move-out on my side. Paper trail, always. I left Elise a short note on the counter. "I moved my personal items today. I accepted the Denver offer. I'm ending the relationship. Please email me for logistics only." I sent one text to her number before I blocked her. "I'm safe, I'm done. I accepted Denver. Please keep any communication to logistics only." Then I blocked her. Over the next week, she tried every door that wasn't locked. She called from unknown numbers. She messaged me on apps I forgot I even had. She emailed me paragraphs that swung from apology to rage to heartbreak, sometimes in the same message. She also tried sending other people. Her mom texted me, saying Elise wasn't herself, and I needed to be the bigger man. One of Elise's friends messaged me, saying I was abandoning her. Another mutual friend asked if I'd at least meet her for coffee. I replied to exactly one person, the friend who asked nicely, because I wanted it on record. I'm not discussing private relationship issues. Please don't relay messages. If Elise needs to handle lease or property details, she can email me. Then I stopped replying. Elise finally emailed me something useful. She wanted me to keep paying half the rent after I left because she couldn't afford it, and this wasn't fair. I didn't argue, I didn't lecture. I scheduled a brief consultation with a landlord-tenant attorney just to confirm my obligations under our lease. It wasn't dramatic. It was a 15-minute call that gave me clarity. The advice was straightforward. Follow the lease terms, document notice, and pay what I legally owed through the notice period. No more, no less. So I replied to Elise with 3 clean sentences. I have given proper notice per the lease. I will pay my share through the end of the notice period. After that, you will need to make arrangements with the property manager. Please keep future emails to logistics only. I attached one photo of the rent ledger from the shared iPad, showing my payments were current. That was my boundary in writing. 2 weeks later, I drove to Denver with a small moving truck and a trunk full of essentials. The company's relocation support covered the basics, and they sent a packet with a moving checklist that looked like something I would have made myself. It felt strange and comforting at the same time. My new apartment was smaller than the one in Orlando, but it was mine. Quiet, no tension in the air, no feeling like I was about to be judged for existing. My first day at the new job, my manager shook my hand and said, "We're glad you're here. We don't hire often for this role. Your references were strong." People listened when I spoke. They asked real questions. They didn't turn my calm nature into a joke. They treated competence like something valuable, not something to mock. My new routine formed quickly. Morning coffee, a short walk even in the cold, work, dinner at home, weekend errands. I joined a beginner-friendly hiking group and found out I liked it even more in Colorado. The trails were quieter. The air felt honest. When my first paycheck hit, I didn't celebrate with a speech. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at the deposit amount. The jump from $64,000 to $138,000 wasn't a trophy. It was breathing room. It was saving for a future that didn't require me to shrink. I set up automatic transfers. I built a simple budget. I started sleeping through the night. Back in Orlando, Elise's life didn't explode like a movie. It just got harder in normal ways. Our apartment was too expensive on one income. Her friends were supportive at first, but people get tired of hearing the same story. She told different versions depending on the audience. Sometimes I was the villain who abandoned her. Sometimes I was the boring boyfriend who couldn't handle her. Sometimes she said she let me go. What stayed consistent was the part where she couldn't accept my choice. She tried again about a month later, which made me think of her own line at the restaurant, 30 days. She emailed me, "Can we talk? Just talk. I miss you. I know I went too far." I replied once because I wanted to be clear, and then I stopped. "I'm not interested in reconnecting. I hope you learn from this. Please don't contact me again unless it's a legal or financial matter." 2 days after that, a small package arrived at my office. No return address. Inside was a keychain I'd given her and a note that said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Please don't erase me." I felt a flicker of sadness because I'm not made of stone, but sadness isn't a reason to go back to disrespect. I didn't respond. Then one chilly Saturday afternoon, I came back from the grocery store and saw her. Elise was standing outside my building entrance, hands shoved into her coat pockets, hair pulled back, face bare of the usual performance. She looked tired, not just sleepy, tired in the way people look when they've been fighting reality and losing. My first instinct was to ask if she was okay. That's who I used to be, the fixer. But I stopped a few feet away and kept my voice calm. "Elise," I said, "you shouldn't be here." Her eyes filled immediately. "Ryan, please, just 5 minutes. I flew in this morning." I didn't step closer. I didn't step away. I stayed where I was, like a line drawn in chalk. "How did you get my address?" I asked. She looked down. "Paige," I begged. She said she wouldn't, but I kept asking. I nodded slowly. "Okay." Elise's voice shook. "I'm sorry, I really am. I was insecure. I wanted to look cool. I wanted my friends to think I was in control. I didn't realize I was hurting you." I watched her carefully, not with anger, with honesty. "You did realize," I said quietly. "You just didn't think I'd leave." She flinched like I'd slapped her, but I didn't raise my tone. She took a step forward. I didn't mean the 30 days thing. I was mad. You weren't mad, I said. You were entertained. Elise's lip trembled. I've been miserable. I had to move out. I can't afford anything. My job is unstable right now. Everything fell apart. There it was, the truth tucked into the apology. She wasn't just missing me. She was missing the stability I provided, the rent half, the calm, the person who absorbed her stress and didn't complain. She wiped her cheeks quickly. I know I messed up. I'll do therapy. I'll change. I'll move here. I'll do anything. Please, I love you. I believed she felt something, but love isn't just a feeling. It's behavior. It's respect when nobody's watching. I kept my voice gentle. I'm not doing this. Elise shook her head, desperate. Please, Ryan, don't throw this away. We had plans. I nodded once. We did, and you made me a punchline in front of people who didn't matter. Her shoulders sagged. I didn't think you'd actually go. I know, I said. That was the problem. She looked at me like she was searching for the version of me who would fold, the version of me who would try to prove he was worth kindness. I didn't move. Elise swallowed and whispered, so that's it. I took a slow breath because I wanted my last words to be clean, not cruel, not emotional, just true. That's it, I said. You told me I'd be back asking for another chance in 30 days. She nodded faintly. I met her eyes and closed the loop with the only line that mattered. I set the reminder, I said. It didn't go off for me. Elise covered her mouth and made a small sound like she was trying not to break in public. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel powerful. I felt finished. I hope you get help, I said. I hope you stop performing and start being honest, but you can't be in my life anymore. Then I stepped past her, entered my building, and let the door close behind me. Up in my apartment, I put the groceries away and stood by the window for a moment, looking at the gray winter sky over a city that still felt new. My phone buzzed once with an unknown number. I didn't answer. I turned it face down on the counter and went back to my quiet. If you've ever been belittled in public by someone who claimed to love you, tell me what you did next. I'd really like to read your stories in the comments.